I've just read a headline that scares the life out of me. 1 billion young people risk hearing loss from loud music. Now, before I get into the research, I want to stress how important this issue is to me. I have become increasingly aware of how many people suffer from tinnitus and hearing loss in my circle of friends and family, and obviously I'm also particularly nervous about my own hearing as a musician. A few other amazing music YouTubers have also made videos on this topic, and I will link their videos below. But over the last few years, I've noticed I've become more sensitive to sounds and more aware, literally thanks to the noise app on my watch. So I just want to raise awareness and see if I can help more people take notice and realise that once the damage has been done, there is no going back. It also seems like the world is just getting louder and louder, and we have to make a personal choice on how we cope with it and how we protect ourselves. There's also the misconception that you can build up a tolerance to loud noises. Sadly, this just isn't the case. It just means that you've damaged your hearing. So listening to loud music regularly is not like doing bicep curls. I am far from perfect. I play a number of instruments that I've actually found are contributing to my own hearing loss. Piano and drums. I no longer play guitar at a crazy loud volume, but I was doing so in bands for a number of years, then living in a city, traffic, building work, just walking down the street. Sometimes it's completely overwhelming, and yes, albeit brief, the small amount of damage can compound over time. Simple day-to-day things like drying my hair and then listening to music through headphones, mixing in the studio, all of this is like smoking for the ears. So the world is not going to quieten down. Awareness and prevention are the best thing for now. If in doubt, use a sound meter to measure decibels. There's plenty of free-to-use apps online, and many phones or smartwatches will also make you aware when noises are at a dangerous level. We all know our smart devices are listening into our lives anyway, so we might as well try and find a positive out of this. So how do you know if you're in the safe range? Normal conversation is 60 to 70 decibels. Anything over 70 for a long period of time can start to damage your hearing. So think about the music volume in your car, the vacuum cleaner, hairdryer. At 85, damage to your hearing is possible after 2 hours of exposure. This is busy city traffic, a busy restaurant, your lawnmower. At 95, for example, the sound of a motorcycle, a shouted conversation, the subway, damage is possible after about 50 minutes. At 100, it's just 15 minutes that'll cause significant damage. I get so nervous for other musicians in YouTube videos when I see the decibel meter rise over 100 and they're not wearing hearing protection. I know that the guitar tone sounds so much better at that volume, but I also know that they've just simply damaged their hearing, so don't think that this is normal or something you should replicate. At 105, it's less than 5 minutes. Think power tools. At 110, think sirens. It's less than 2 minutes. Anything over 120, like fireworks, puts you at immediate risk of pain and instant permanent damage. It's important to stress that I'm not a medical professional, so if you're experiencing tinnitus, then please seek professional help. But the following can lessen the risk. Take a break from noisy activity. Pay attention to your phone's headphone warnings. Wear hearing protection in band rehearsals or at concerts. Keep away from speakers blaring at you and don't stand too close. Use in-ear monitors on stage and in rehearsal and even recording so that you can still hear clearly but at a lower level. Keep earplugs or hearing aids clean because ear infections can also cause tinnitus. And never put anything pointy in your ears. Pardon the interruption. Pre-order a signed physical copy of my debut album, Super Sexy Heartbreak, out in October this year. Yes, I know it's super early to have a pre-order for 6 months, but this will give me time to get the release absolutely perfect. It'll be worth the wait, I promise. Link in the description. So let's get into the scientific studies that are predicting some terrifying statistics. An international team of researchers, led by academics at the University of South Carolina in the US, have examined 33 previous studies on personal listening devices and loud music venues that took place between 2000 and 2021 and published their findings in the journal BMJ Global Health. It shows that as many as 1 billion young people are particularly vulnerable to hearing loss because of their regular use of smartphones, headphones, and earbuds. The researchers estimate that 24% of 12 to 34-year-olds are currently listening to music on personal listening devices, at an unsafe level. Previous studies have shown that it is only safe to exceed 100 decibels for 15 minutes, with any longer increasing the risk of damage to your hearing. They also estimated that 48% of people aged 12 to 34 around the world are frequently exposed to excessive noise in loud music venues, such as clubs or bars. Average sound levels at venues tend to range from 104 to 112 decibels, which is far in excess of the safe threshold of 80 decibels for adults. Based on these figures, it's estimated that the global number of teenagers and young adults who could potentially be at risk of hearing loss ranges from 0.67 billion to 1.35 billion. Recurrent or even single instances of unsafe listening may cause physiological damage to the auditory system, presenting as transient or permanent tinnitus and/or changes to hearing, the researchers said. Damage from unsafe listening can compound over the life course, and noise exposure earlier in life may make individuals more vulnerable to age-related hearing loss. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that more than 430 million people of all ages worldwide currently have disabling hearing loss. But people aren't seeking help or treatment when they notice the warning signs. According to a new study from the Royal National Institute for Deaf People, RNID, only 6% of undiagnosed people had a hearing check in 2022. That's in contrast to 53% of people who had a checkup with a dentist and 46% who had an eye test. Our ears work through a sensory reaction in the brain following the vibration of tiny hairs within the inner ear. Movements in the air cause these hairs to vibrate in different ways, which is how we are able to hear different sounds. According to Bev Carter, senior hearing aid audiologist at Hearing Direct, the buzzing sensation you get when you have just left a gig or a concert is called temporary cochlear fatigue. This is when loud sounds enter your ear and blow the hair cells flat. When you are young, your hair cells will recover after an hour or so and the buzzing disappears. But the more times this happens, the less likely it is that the hair cells will recover, causing permanent damage that becomes hearing loss. And that can lead to tinnitus. Tinnitus is the medical term for when you hear sound in your ears or head when there isn't an external sound present. It's an audiological and neurological condition, and over 50 million Americans alone have it, or nearly 1 in 6 people. As a musician, this condition does seem to be a professional hazard. You might have experienced it temporarily after a loud concert, or I bet that you're also statistically likely to be suffering from it already. Please share your story in the comments below, and maybe we can help make some changes together. The NHS describes tinnitus as sounding like ringing, buzzing, whooshing, humming, hissing, or throbbing. You may hear these sounds in one or both ears or in your head. It can be sporadic or constant, and it can be suffered on a scale from mild to excruciating. It's not always clear what causes tinnitus, but it's often linked to some form of hearing loss. Meniere's disease, which can also affect your balance and make you sick. Conditions like diabetes, thyroid disorders, or multiple sclerosis. Taking certain medicines. Tinnitus can be a side effect of some chemotherapy medicines, antibiotics, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and aspirin. There isn't currently a cure, but certain services say that they can provide some relief. The following might help alleviate symptoms. Tinnitus counselling, sessions where you learn about your tinnitus and find ways of coping with it. Cognitive behavioural therapy to help you accept your diagnosis and reduce anxiety. Tinnitus retraining therapy, where specialists use sound therapy to retrain your brain to tune out and be less aware of the ringing. Modern hearing aids can also help make the condition less noticeable. Hearing loss has such a huge effect on lives. It's not just about no longer being able to hear music. It means impaired communication and social withdrawal. Then untreated hearing loss is associated with other health problems too, heart disease, diabetes, depression, and it increases the risk of falling, which has other potential consequences. It can also lead to cognitive decline. A study of more than 16,000 people in Taiwan recently found a link between hearing loss and dementia. Hearing loss increases the brain's cognitive load, gradually altering its structure, meaning that its neglected regions begin to deteriorate. The study concluded that symptoms of hearing loss between the ages of 45 and 65 more than doubled the chance of a dementia diagnosis later in life. This is a pretty serious topic, and I really appreciate you watching until the end. This video is to raise your awareness and make you think twice the next time you crank up your amp or reach for the volume dial on your phone. But also, we need to think of ways of preventing this huge scale problem. So please put your thoughts and stories in the comments below. If you enjoy what I do, then do consider supporting me on Patreon and join a community of fans who help me record and release my work exactly as I want to, with no label or middlemen. You'll get first looks at my videos and a range of other exclusive benefits. So take a look at patreon.com/Mary Spender for more info. But as always, I'll be seeing you here very, very soon.